Welcome to the first episode of the Prospect Corners podcast, powered by the Traveling Hooper. In front of me is my man, Calvin McGowan, one of our scouts from the Memphis area, and I am your host, Alan Pettigrew Jr. And let's go ahead and get straight into the event coverage. Calvin, tell them where you were at this weekend.
I checked out a couple games over at the BCAT Team Hoop Fest down here. It's at a couple different locations, but I managed to check out a couple different games.
All right. And I was at the FABC team camp down here in Bradenton, Florida. Calvin, let us know some of those teams that you want to get into and talk about. And then when we're done, we'll talk about the top 5 guys from the event that you saw.
Okay. So, like the main ones, I'm gonna talk about players: Fayette Ware, Briarcrest, Arlington. Granted, I didn't get to see a whole lot of these games, but Boyd-Buchanan.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a team I think is worth paying more attention to as I go forward.
Definitely. So what makes those schools so hot for you?
So, Fayette Ware is like mainly for like 2 dudes, even though like I feel like with all of these teams that I'm about to kind of talk about, there are players that are worth paying attention to that I haven't looked at that close. But for like Fayette Ware, the 2 players that I was mainly mainly noticed were just Stephen Walker, who's a skinny 6'10" big, class of 2022, and Demarion Yates, who is 6'5", small forward, 2023. Walker he's got some versatility to him. He does a good job of establishing himself in the post. He's got a decent jumper with 3-point range, a decent turnaround jumper that he's very confident in. And he gives energy on both sides of the ball. Yates is one I'm gonna pay more attention to going forward. I just felt like it was worth putting his name down because, like, every time I looked up through both games, he was doing something, right? Yeah. And like it was the kind of thing, and of course, like good things, not where it's just like he's turning the ball over. No, it's just like being a solid, productive player. So like going forward, I'm gonna be paying more attention to him, even though I probably didn't give him his due while I was watching. For Boyd-Buchanan, I went in mainly trying to pay attention to Arias Bailey, who is a 6'8" small forward in the class of 2024. In the game between them and Fayette Ware, which was the one I caught for them, like the backcourt's kind of carried. They did most of the legwork, so I didn't get to see that much of what Bailey can do, but he did show good athleticism. And he showed, an ability to get boards as well as, like, solid, how am I gonna phrase this? A good ability to, I guess, get to the rim in the open court in particular. It did also, like, his team, Boyd-Buchanan is big.
Yeah.
Like, one of their players is 6'5" and 250. He plays football.
Yeah. Immediately.
And when Fayette Ware played them, one of the things I noticed is that just Stephen Walker wasn't able to do a whole lot with that. But like there were other players that I saw on that team as well that I'm like I might want to pay more attention going forward. So like I'll probably have more on them like as I do more scouting. As far as Briarcrest has, they always seem to have some solid players. Last year in particular, they were kind of young. They're still fairly young. Their two best players are going to be sophomores this year. In Cooper Haynes and Jay Nash, who both already have offers from Memphis and Ole Miss. They're good. I feel like if I'm talking about them, it kind of goes without saying, but it's like, so it's like Haynes I initially noticed because he was an 8th grader playing with, like, getting minutes for Briarcrest's varsity team, and it's just kind of like, why is this 8th grader here playing with, their varsity squad? And it's like, and Ben, at least, he didn't do a whole lot, but he wasn't embarrassing himself, which is a testament to being pretty solid.
Yeah.
So this is the better part of a year or two out at this point from that initial, and he's all right. So the first thing you'll notice with him, he can make shots. Right? First, like, kind of watching him. So one of the things I noticed about him when he was a 8th grader was that, like, he was good about finding the open space or, like, positioning. Even though he didn't do it a whole lot here, it kind of seems to have started to turn into, like, being good about making cuts, about knowing when to cut, to the rim. But also, I've seen him, again, make shots off the dribble. I've seen a decent amount of set shots. I think he's actually better off the dribble.
Ooh.
Right? Like, take that one dribble, a couple dribbles, pull it, like, it's probably going down. He's got a solid handle, but it's like, in general, he doesn't seem to really go anywhere with it. Right? Like, he'll do his little move, but, like, nothing really comes from it too much. Solid passer. Defense is a bit of work in progress. He seems to kind of play defense with his hands more than his feet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he's a good young player, and, like, you can, like, coaching and, like, time will fix some of that, and, like, just being as good as he is now, you can kind of project that he should continue to get better, and it'll be something to see as he continues to improve. Nash, I didn't pay that much attention to him prior to this. He's Haynes is the shooting guard. Nash is the point guard. Nash is a really good passer. It's
last name Nash, you better be.
Like, it was just like watching him. He's more of a pass first point guard. He's also really fast. Basically, if they ran a pick and roll, he's getting to the rim pretty much. But he didn't shoot that much. From what little I saw, he might also be better off the dribble. Like, he didn't take that many, like, jump shots in general. Most of what he did seemed to be kind of facilitation offensively. I saw a couple of times where he'd go baseline and then pass to the other side, like, pass to a teammate to the other side of the floor, which is good, but it also, I think as I watch him, and, like, this may not be the case, like, I'll see he'll use his passing to bail him out of situations that he got himself into, which, good for him that is a good enough passer to get away with that sometimes, but it'll also lead to can lead to some less than ideal decision making from time to time. He's a pretty good defender, actually. He's much better about playing defense with his feet. He's a solid hop step with getting to the rim that I saw a couple times.
Mm.
And likewise, he's also definitely one to watch going forward. Also has offers from Ole Miss, Memphis, and, like, Jacksonville handed out a lot of offers to kids this weekend.
Yeah.
I guess to move on to Arlington. So I started paying attention to Arlington mainly for a player named Phil Dotson, who I've gotten to see a fair bit of the last few years. I consider him to be like a scoring point guard, but he spent at this point he spent most of his time in high school playing mainly off ball. He's also very good at he's a very good shooter. He rebounds really well given his size, plays solid defense, is a solid passer. But when I was watching, one of the things with watching Arlington, especially the first game that I watched, where I was able to see a little of Dotson, even though I believe he got hurt in that game, he wasn't in the other game that I watched, is that, at least that first game in particular, the whole team was playing kind of selfish. Kind of looking for their own shot to kind of the detriment of the whole. I didn't see that as much. I didn't really see that in the second game. They'd kind of calmed down. But outside of Dotson, the player I'd like to talk about, mainly because I had him penciled in as a player worth paying attention to, but keeping an eye on, rather. But this is my first time really paying attention, right, is Javar Daniel, who is a 6'10" big man for them. He has range to the three. I don't think he's that good at shooting the three just yet, but he's got range out to there. I'd assume at some point those shots will probably start falling. He's a really good defensive big man. He's good at contesting shots, closing out, a solid shot blocker. He's actually also a solid finisher at the rim. But if we want to talk about posting up and having moves, that's still a bit of a work in progress. A couple times I've seen him try to do things and lose the ball, or get caught up in trying to do things, and that second defender will come and just kind of take the ball. That happened a couple times in the first game in particular. But he can run the floor. He's solid running the floor. He can bring the ball down. I wouldn't necessarily say his handles are amazing or anything though, but it's solid, decent passer. Also, and this is something I'm be looking at more, is just a couple times I saw him just take other big men. It wasn't fancy. It's not he sized them up. Just kind of, out of that, three triple threat stance or whatever, just go by guys.
Yeah.
And so I think he's really starting to, develop and put a solid game together. He also got his first D1 offer from Radford, I believe. And he's looking like he'd be a good piece on a D1 squad, especially as he develops.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I covered most of it. It's there are other dudes I can that I feel are worth mentioning. Lucas Walls at Knox Webb, Cade Pendleton at East Hamilton. But I only got to see them for one game, and I try not to talk too much about players I've only gotten to see once.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. I guess it is my turn to go ahead and give you some of the teams that really stood out at FABC. First one up is going to be Trinity Prep, and we're looking at a super athletic guard by the name of Javon Bennet. He's one of my guys that are going to be in the top 5 discussion. But that little dude can go. We're talking about 5'9", ability to dunk super fast. And the most impressive thing that he did in the game that I watched, he went 6 of 8 from 3-point line. I'm talking about college basketball line. He completely had to change Riverview's defense specifically because of him. He's really good rebounder for the position, and he's just like super quick with the ball. Like as soon as he gets it, he's looking up court to find teammates. Then the half court, he can find you wherever because he's going to make defenses collapse. He recently received an offer from FGCU, so his stock is definitely going up. Another guy on that Trinity Prep team that's going to be something to watch is Krishen Atwal at 6'6". He's got a solid build, and he's like really strong. Like he got like 3 and 1s in the single game against Riverview, and he shot 2 of 3 from the corner. So we're talking about a big 6'6" wing that can also shoot. Go ahead, sign me up. And they're big men who didn't exactly play a lot of minutes, but at about 6'6", 6'7", he rebounds. He has solid size for the position, and he just finishes plays. And that was like his biggest thing. And he really runs the floor well too. Switching over to Riverview, Sarasota. I don't know if you heard about this team last year, but they were super loaded. I'm talking about like 10 seniors, and I want to say at least 8 went to Division I programs. So they had some heat, and one of their better players was a sophomore named Jason Jackson, who transferred after that year. So they basically have a bunch of like 2024, 2023. Like it's a super young team, and they still got a lot to go to them. They got one of the top 2025s, well, incoming freshmen in the area named Jameer Jones. We're looking at a dude that's probably like 6'6", 6'7", has good slashing ability. He shoots really well off the dribble, and he's going to be a really solid athlete. The 2 dunks and the oop that he caught were pretty nice. Overtime loves the kid. I'm talking about like 30,000 followers on Instagram already. This dude he got it. And then out of the 2024 class is going to be Jayden Dudash, and I really like this kid. He's listed as a 6'5" point guard. He's a really good shooter off the dribble. If you put someone smaller on him, he's going to get to the pull-up, and he's going to make that. He rebounds well, and he gets up the floor too. And another guy that's going to be fun to watch on this team, I believe he's another 2024. His name is Michael Drayton, and we're talking about a good 3-and-D prospect, probably like 6'3", athletic, shoots. He can handle the rock. And I'm just like impressed by how he gets after it on defense. Like he wants it. And then moving on to Tampa Catholic. This is the school that Kevin Knox went to. That means the Knox brothers went here. And we're looking at the youngest of the 3 Knox brothers with Karter Knox. And at this stage of the game, dude is really good. Like when the 2024 rankings come out, if he doesn't have stars next to his name or considered like a top 50 guy, I'd just be really impressed on who is making it over him. Because we're talking about a ridiculous athlete, a dude that shot really well. He's actually one of the guys I want to talk about in the top 5. But he's just going to be one of those premier prospects. Like between the blocks that he had, I'm talking about like chase down from the other corner to beat the person at the rim, and probably like forearm by the rim type blocks. Like one of them, he reached the top of the white square, and I was like, oh, okay, you just kidding around. But he's a really good scorer. Another guy that's coming out of Tampa Catholic program is going to be Caleb Gatewood. From what I can see, he's a really good defensive prospect. I'm talking about long arms, had some crazy blocks too. He makes shots, he rebounds, he finishes. Only a 2024 prospect. There's a lot of dudes on that Tampa Catholic team that needs looks. Like I'm talking about 4 guys, but this is another like probably 6 guys deep type program where they got a lot of young talent. In the 2023 class, we're looking at Eddrin Bronson, and that is one of the best shooters that I saw at the entire event. I'm talking about he's another guy who's going to be in the top 5 at 6'4", 6'5", off the catch, off the dribble. he's going to get it. He's a good athlete. He's already receiving interest from SEC schools. So this dude is something to watch. And then another guy is Carmelo Branch, another guy that's going to be about 6'5". He did a little bit of everything. He has really good size, and he just kind of fits really well in our offense. And now we get into the fun school, FSU school, which out of Tallahassee is kind of just ridiculous. First guy I want to look at is 2022 Jaylen Martin. Probably one of the smoothest mid-range games at the entire event. If he caught at the elbow, the ball was going straight in. Like, it doesn't really matter. In the entire time, he plays with a smile on his face. Like, he caught a body and was just kind of like, the minute he caught the ball, he was smiling like, oh, this is lunch food. And afterwards, he just kind of did the head pat and just like, it is what it is. Like, I appreciate them. He's a smooth athlete. He's another guy that's listed as a 4-star. Then his teammate, Trey Donaldson, he runs the point guard. I'm talking about like a super vocal leader, good on-ball defender. He likes to get his teammates involved. Like, I talked about this when I was seeing them. Like, this is a kid that I want to have mic'd up at games this year because he talks and he's like super encouraging, but he also is not going to let anybody mess over his teammates. Another guy who's like super fiery and rebounds well for the position. Also a 4-star football player. So, this kid is just a bad boy. And then out of the 2023 class is going to be Anthony Robinson II, another guy who I have on the top 5 list. He's a really good scoring guard. Like, anytime he got the ball, like wherever he was, he knew where to get to the spot for his jumper. I'm talking about scoring at all 3 levels and just like really fun to watch. And it's like no wasted movement in this game. Like, as soon as he gets the ball, he sees it, he goes. And then some other standouts from Archbishop McCarthy is going to be Tyler Brant at 6'4". We're talking about a really electric dude. He passes well, but that's only because he's an aggressive scorer. Like, defense are going to have to key in on him. I'm talking about range out to the volleyball line, whether that's off the dribble or off the catch. Like, dude is really fun to watch. And if you get him on the break, he is going to throw it down hard. And I always appreciate stuff like that. Some sleepers out of Auburndale is going to be a guy named Nehemiah Turner at 6'8". He's a really big forward. And the only reason why I don't want to say center is because he has handles. Like, he has the whole stretch thing going down. And as his body develops and he really gets in shape, I think this could be one of those tweener prospects who's just like really interested. And then his point guard, Kevin Nags, is probably one of the most athletic dudes that we saw at the event. Super quick, super speedy, knows how to get to places with the ball in his hands, and he's pretty strong. Alonzo High School had Trent Scott, who is ranked top 100 in the state of Florida. He really knows how to run a team. He's athletic. He gets to the paint. He shoots well. He finds teammates in transition, all the fun stuff that you really want. And he keeps the ball moving in the half court. Like, with him as the lead guard, you're going to get everybody touches. And another duo out of Fleming Island, who's probably aren't Division I prospects, but definitely need looks at like the D-Tour NIA level. We're talking about Bennie McDuffie and Ahman Greenidge. Bennie McDuffie, probably about like 5'6", and he is by far the fastest person that we saw at the event with the ball in his hands. Tampa Catholic tried to do a full court press, and it was literally like hesitation, dribble right, go left, and nobody could really stay in front of him. He was creating separation like that all game. And once he gets that, he can find whoever's down court. When they got him in the half court, he was able to just break dudes off, get to the paint, and then either get to his mid-range jumper, usually at the elbow, or find an open teammate. And Ahmad Greenidge, Really physical forward with guard skills. Like I like him overall as a package. I am definitely going to go see more of Fleming Island this year. And that brings me to the end of my schools that really stood out. But let's go ahead and get into our top 5 guys. And we're basically going to hot potato this. I'll give you my first guy, you give me yours, and we'll see who wins. All right. First up is going to be my guy, Javon Bennet. I was already saying, super athletic guard, really quick. And one of the probably scariest shooters that we saw, like whether it was off the catch or off the dribble, this dude is a sniper. I already said 6 of 8 from 3, really athletic. And I'm not talking about like athletic for his size or athletic for his position. Like he was out rebounding guys who were 6'7", and it was like really easy. And his ability to find guys in the open court is like borderline special. This kid he can go. And I really appreciate that. And I don't see FGCU being the last school to offer him. I could really see, especially if they go on a deep tournament run, I could see a lot of mid-majors coming in and getting this dude and him being a lot of fun at the next level.
Okay. So I guess I'm assuming we're not necessarily doing these in a particular order.
No.
Of course, the player I've already mentioned, Cooper Haynes. He can score a little at all 3 levels, just basically automatic off the dribble. He can do a little of pretty much everything that you want a guard to do offensively. The defense still needs a little bit of work, but you know it can improve. It's not terrible or anything. Has a little bit of that has a little bit of athleticism. Is that like can be kind of opportunistic defensively? Like he'll pick you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And like if you need somebody to go get a bucket, he can go get you a bucket. So yeah.
Okay. My guy is going to be Karter Knox, and I really like everything about Karter Knox. We were talking about a really good frame on a guy who's 6'5", a lot of confidence. One thing I always appreciate is kids that can score out of the post, and his turnaround jumper going to the baseline is like automatic. There was one sequence that I can think of where they tried to double team him, and he looked at the second defender, spun out of it, cash. I want to say in one game he made 3 threes, like he was 3 of 6 from the field, and then the next game he was 4 of 9. So we're talking about a guy who already has range, efficiency, and volume from that distance, and I can always appreciate that. And I'm still working on getting his highlights out, but that 3 is all the way out to the college range. And the defensive things that he does because of his athleticism are going to be kind of like jaw-dropping. Like he's not much of a on-ball defender, but I also think that is because Tampa Catholic isn't the biggest team, so they kind of play zone-ish, but you can really see it when he's chasing guys down. I think there's one block in particular where he just kind of comes over for a rotation and like the pop is still there. And it's like very noticeable. I'm just really impressed by everything he can handle. He can push. Karter Knox is a star. My bad, Karter.
I think the next person I'm gonna go ahead and go with is Javar Daniel. I think I feel, and like this is premature, that like of the like big men prospects that I got to see, or like feel any kind of confidence in like my opinion of them, he looks like he might be the best prospect. like he can go by dudes his own size, even though again he didn't do it a whole lot. But like I'm assuming that's one of those things will probably come is like gets a little bit more confidence and ability in like his own handle. He's very active defensively, and that's a lot of this, like contesting shots, blocking shots, being active on the boards, getting out to shooters. And if you know anything about my own biases, I like good defense, and he'll give you good defense as well as good like a solid offensive presence, even if that's much more a work in progress. But like a lot of that, I have a lot of confidence in his ability to end up becoming a very good defender, and from what I saw, he will also end up being a very solid offensive player and a fairly versatile one too.
Okay, perfect. Speaking of offense, we're getting into our next guy, Anthony Robinson, and at about like 6'3", he can play either guard position, and he's going to give you buckets from both of them. I'm talking about a guy who can get to the rim when he wants, but most importantly is the jumper. Like he was hitting everything. Like 1-2 dribble pull up, 1 dribble pull up, catch and shoot. This guy can pretty much do it, and it's like seamless. Like he is the perfect person to have with Trey and Jaylen. Like during the event, I felt like Trey and Jaylen kind of took plays off, and not in like a disrespectful way, to kind of see what the rest of the team would do. And each time that happened, Anthony Robinson stood out and just was like, okay, I'll go get this bucket. Okay, I'll go get this bucket. We're talking about like double-digit scoring in every game that I saw him in, and it was just kind of like, I don't need the ball a lot of the time for this. I'm talking about like maybe when between him scoring and catching the ball, like 3 seconds of the ball in his hand. Like it's quick, fast movements. They're efficient, and but he's just a bucket at this point, and it's going to be really fun to see what this looks like next year when Jaylen and Trey graduate, just to kind of see what that role looks like and how the offense is going to be him.
Okay. My next one, Jay Nash, just because it's, as stated, he's a very good facilitator. He's got good court vision, good passing ability. He's he's fast. Like it's a little surprising. Like almost like it seems like a lot of the rest of the players are in slow motion. There's not a whole lot of wasted movement in his game. Like if he does a dribble move, it's not like he's doing 5 or 6. He does 1 and just goes by you. He of course, using that speed and like some of his finishing ability, can get to the rim and finish. His shooting's a bit of a work in progress, I think. But like the defense is also there. Like he's a fairly tenacious defender, like man defender, who's very good about staying in front of his man, playing defense with his feet. And of course, once he gets the ball, running the floor, getting it to open teammates, taking what the defense gives him a lot of the time.
All right. Again, my guy is Eddrin Bronson. And when we're talking about like shooter scorers, this guy's it. Again, 6'4", 6'5", good athleticism. And he is another one that when I show you the highlights, it's not a lot of cutting that I have to do to make this kid look good between catching the ball, maybe 1 or 2 dribbles. Like the ball's going in just about every single time. Like in one of the games that I saw in particular, I saw him start to crack a smile after he made like his 6th shot in a row. And it's just like as soon as he gets it, it goes up and it looks really good. The fact that he already has the 2 SEC schools looking at him and has other interests, like I think this guy, if he's not someone who's going to be ranked highly in the 2023 class, he is going to be one of those players that if you know about him, especially as like a player, you know it's going to be some trouble for you in that particular day. And I'm just really interested in the games that I saw in particular. I didn't notice like him as like a highly defensive prospect, and I think that's because of the zone. But after doing a little bit of digging, we got other scouts talking about like how elite of an on-ball defender he is, and he was part of that pressure that they used in Tampa Catholic's full court zone. So if they had him as like a lead defender out there with Karter Knox, then this is definitely probably somebody we need to look like as a super serious two-way threat.
My next guy will be just Stephen Walker. Again, he's got a lot of confidence in his shot. It can go down. He's got a lot of confidence and has a solid turnaround jumper. Does a good job of establishing himself in the post. Has range to three. He's got some work to do in terms of like handling, bigger defenders. But, it's one of them things that'll come. He's also, and this is actually something I forgot to mention when I was initially talking, he's got very good patience when it comes to like blocking shots. He's solid about like timing it, right? Like he doesn't jump at everything. And he's solid about, timing it, making sure to get it on the way up. He's also, a solid athlete. And, I expect to see more development from him. I expect him to start to gather, some more offers. But, I do kind of think he's one to keep an eye on.
Great. And that brings me to my final guy, Jayden Dudash, 6'5", 6'4" point guard. Really good handle. I wouldn't exactly say an aggressive scorer because I don't think this kid is like super aggressive. It's just natural. Like he's one of the better like jump shooters that I saw at the entire game. Like he knows where his spots are. Like even in the offense, it looks like they're like bread and butter spots that they perfectly placed him in. Like there was one sequence where he caught the ball, and I think there was like a smaller defender on him. Kid's probably about like 6 foot. He crouched down, he grabbed the ball, he surveyed the area, went straight up, like no hesitation. He's already getting some interest from FSU, and us, we went to Florida A&M. FSU's right up the street. I am really fond on anyone who is receiving an offer from Florida State because they just have some particular thing about the way they recruit. And if you're garnering that interest after your freshman year on a loaded team where you had to play a little bit of JV because of how deep your team is, not because you weren't good enough, but because how deep your team is with all of those Division I college prospects, just shows that this kid has a lot of special in his game, and I'm glad I get to watch him develop over the next couple of years.
Okay, I think because this one I'm starting to get into I'm getting close to dudes like I only really gotten to see once. But I think I'll probably go ahead and go with Damari Yates over at Fayette Ware. Granted, I don't have that much as far as notes on him, but like every time I looked up a watch and he was doing something, making a shot, getting a layup, playing solid defense, and like that I really appreciate that kind of energy. And there's something to be said for somebody who finds ways to be effective. And so, of course, I'll be keeping closer tabs on him into the future. But, like, that's the kind of player that can definitely help a team.
All right, Calvin, that is our closing out. And thank you to anyone who has listened to the first episode of the Prospects Corner podcast. We plan on doing more of these over this summer and definitely during the high school season. To the guys that we talked about today, congratulations, man. Keep up the good work, and we will be seeing more of you later. Thank you. Have a good day.